Ross, huh?
Hi, Albrecht.
How you feel presenting a chandelier in Miami?
That's pretty decadent, isn't it?
That's
out there.
And
I know.
in colors, pink, blue.
Look,
what's
I
the
know.
idea?
No, I refuse to be embarrassed by that question. No, the thing is, this is an interesting moment. It could be a super negative moment in certain ways, where we don't want to fall back in time and go into some sort of monastic position where we give up on the celebration of creativity. I mean, you know the work that I do. So in fact, what I've got here is I've got a fusion between the experiments that I've been making over the years in aluminium, the milling process, the digital process, which is, incidentally, by the way, the new Apple laptop is milled from a solid block. So the influence of some of the things that I'm doing here do go back into industry, whether directly or indirectly, differently.
But so I start to understand that you would like that the chandelier mirrors its light on the surface of your table.
Well, the thing is, if you take a normal chandelier, I don't really spend my life looking at chandeliers, and I always refused Nadia to do a chandelier because I always said, look, I'm a pretty serious designer, and I need to know the moment when I should be doing this. The thing is, in isolation, it can be a very beautiful object as a single entity, and this is like a huge water droplet that was above the ceiling, that welled up and then came through in a viscous way. It's just a very, very pure natural form.
And where does the idea of the movement come from? The center moves down and through the surface of the table.
Well, this is super cool.
It's
I like the
amazing,
idea of penetration.
It's a penetration.
There's a sexual, deep, male-female thing going on here. In fact, it's a reversal because I see the chandelier as female and the tables as male, even though
amazing.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a subconscious thing that you're not aware of, but when you see that action and the speed of that action, there is some kind of, it's almost like a heroin injection. There's something, I didn't sit down and think of it that way. I didn't.
Was the idea from the beginning, or
no? I mean, yes, no, because the idea.
A gag or additional things.
Well, that's the purest form of a chandelier that maybe I can produce. And notice that all the technology to enable it is hidden away. All the motors and everything is it's highly developed. So what you see is the purest expression of the object. Yeah? You couldn't really do it for less. But the tables, what the tables do, they act like a sort of Hubble telescope in the way that they bring in this kind of cosmology of the chandelier. And if you look down into the table, it's much more comfortable to look at an object down than it is up. When you see the sky in water, it's much more comfortable than looking up. So there is this synergy between crystal, which is a transparent material, but loaded with light. I mean, crystal has some magical force which takes light in and just gives more light out, which is not true, but that's the effect. To work with the aluminium, which I've been doing for years, as you know, and then bring in the liquid form, you see this rhythm between these two objects which are made from natural material. It's just a natural material phenomenon. I've talked to you about
So both pieces belong together. It's
they
like
do.
a composition.
They do. And what's beautiful is, this is the closed, contained position. But what you can do is, you can retract the chandelier.
Exactly.
And then you can take each table and put them into the corners of the room. So you can liberate the space. But then if you want to, you can bring the chandelier back down. And I think the idea of negotiating an object which you know you can't really touch, the sensuality of that is kind of mind-blowing.
Tell me something. What is your idea combining luxury industry with your design?
You know, I almost started in the luxury industry. When I left Frog, I went to work in Paris, and I worked with everybody, Hermes, Vuitton. Yeah, this is what I did, and I was the only one. I mean, the only one people could go to design a bag or a flacon de parfum. I mean, I was one of the only few people that you could go to, and with a certain sensitivity, sort of study it. I mean, I've just finished Narciso Rodriguez's perfume bottle. I launched that in January. So from time to time, I engage with that. But
is the luxury industry, does it give an input to contemporary design? Well, is it very important? To
It's a
create
vehicle.
form and language, or is it world language?
It's a
probably?
patron. It's a patron. It's like the Medicis in some way. You know, I mean, if I could work with Hermes again and work with that highest quality of leather, I would do it because I'm interested in rarity and uniqueness as as an individual. But then what I do, Albrecht, is I try and bring that sense of quality, luxury if you want, but quality into the facsimile products. So my water bottle or all those things which are reproduced bear the hallmarks of value.
So you can say you create a prototype maybe for the luxury industry, and then you use the experience even in a mass product.
Well, it's a culture of quality. I'm sure, you know, if you go to the Sudan, I mean, a glass of water is luxury there. And, you know, so maybe if I design the filter to filter the water, that's a luxurious act. So I'm a very broad-based, I'm not that democratic, but I live in the first world. I don't live in the third world. So I'm designing for a culture which is celebrating uniqueness, potential of things, potentials of materials. We live in a digital age now, and this is something that we share, this idea of liquid forms, the fact that we can be much more free and liberal in our expression. But then when you get back to more of an industrialized product, there are ethics and morality which come into play, which don't really allow you. Isn't that beautiful? There's a dragonfly here. That maybe hold that back because it's the economy of form that's needed. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about modesty. These are super modest because you couldn't do it for less. That's a three-legged table. You couldn't make it for less material. I scrape away material. It's not that I do it like Jasper and I'll make a box because it looks modest. I'm not interested in that concept.
Exactly. If we speak on material, what about the crystals themselves? Have you designed the cuttings as well?
Well, you know, I worked on the car, the Swarovski car, and I went through a whole procedure of cutting crystal. With this, what I tried to do, I asked them for the smallest crystal. We worked on the smallest crystal. And my next step is actually to try and create a crystal powder, which means that I can create clouds. But the problem there is that technologically, I have to try and find a way to thread them. So maybe we go to byssus silk threads. So we go to spider silk or something to be able to suspend these powdered crystals.
We can wait for your crystal cloud 4 years later.
Hey, but you know,
at this place.
Yeah, well, why not? You know,
wonderful.
The great thing about Swarovski, and particularly, you know, Nadia, is she just makes things happen for me. I mean, we don't do that much, but when we do, we go for it. And maybe this is the right time to go for it too. I mean, you know how I am. I mean, the thing is, you could hide away at this moment in time and become very sort of reduced.
Nadia told me it took you or her 4 years of collaboration to get a result like this. What's behind?
Okay, because she always asked me to do a chandelier, and I said, look, that's not my thing. I mean, I'll never work again if I do a chandelier. I mean, I need to be. I'm quite serious. You know, if you saw that lightweight suitcase I just did, or other things I did. Yeah. I have to be in the mood, you know. So, and this, you know, I love Nadia. I mean, she's one of the most beautiful women on the planet, inside and out. And I just like the idea of a lifelong relationship. So the thing is, yeah, I'm always there. And if we want to do something, I'll do it.
So you should propose a cloud, a wonderful cloud.
Yeah, I know.
Ross, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Albert. So nice. Always a pleasure. Fantastic.